What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home? A very good evening to and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara. We start off by taking a look at your headlines for tonight.
President Xi Jinping reiterates China's commitment to the One China policy and expressed gratitude for Sri Lanka's support for the Belt and Road Initiative. IMF reaches agreement on first review of Sri Lanka's EFF, second tranche to be released, highlights the importance of a property tax and the need to increase electricity tariffs. Electricity tariffs increased by 18%. State Minister Diana Gamage clashes with SJB MPs, allegations of an attack levelled, an investigation ordered by the Speaker. Was saline given to 42,000 patients under the guise of human immunoglobulin? Investigations continue.
In your top story tonight, Chinese President Xi Jinping stated that China is committed to assisting Sri Lanka in achieving economic stability without any political agenda. He expressed his desire to collaborate closely with President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Bilateral discussions are between President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who is on an official visit to China, and Chinese President Xi Jinping took place at the Great Hall of People.
President Xi Jinping reiterated China's commitment to the One China policy and expressed gratitude for Sri Lanka's support for the Belt and Road Initiative. He highlighted the port city and Hambantota port as key projects under this initiative and pledged to promote imports of Sri Lankan products to China and increase investments in Sri Lanka. According to the President's media division, President Xi Jinping assured that China would provide friendly, practical and timely support for Sri Lanka's debt optimization program. According to the President's media division, President Xi Jinping assured that China would provide friendly, practical and timely support for Sri Lanka's debt optimization program. President Ranil Wickremesinghe expressed Sri Lanka's hope to establish a maritime economic corridor linking China, Myanmar, Sri Lanka and South Africa.
The IMF said late yesterday that IMF staff and the Sri Lankan authorities have reached a staff-level agreement on economic policies to conclude the first review of the 48-month EFF-supported program.
So Sri Lanka will have access to SDR 254 million in financing once the review is approved by IMF management and the IMF Executive Board.
After constructive discussions with the authorities in Colombo and during the annual meetings in Marrakesh, IMF Senior Mission Chief for Sri Lanka Peter Brewer and Deputy Mission Chief Katsiarina Svirizenka issued the following statement. Quote, the IMF team reached a staff-level agreement with the Sri Lankan authorities on the first review under an economic reform program supported by a 48-month extended fund facility arrangement. The arrangement was approved by the IMF Executive Board for a total amount of about $3 billion on March 20th, 2023. Unquote. The statement went on to note, quote, upon approval by the IMF Executive Board, Sri Lanka would have access to about $330 million, bringing the total IMF financial support dispersed under the arrangement to about $660 million, unquote. The International Monetary Fund on Friday said that the agreement reached between the government of Sri Lanka and the Exim Bank of China did not have an impact on the IMF staff-level agreement on the first review of Sri Lanka's extended fund facility arrangement.
Was the news from China that there's an agreement between Sri Lanka and the China Exim Bank, did that have an impact on now reaching staff-level agreement? And the answer to that is no. The staff-level agreement is the outcome of having agreed between the IMF staff and the Sri Lankan authorities on a set of strong measures that will help achieve the objectives of the program in the various areas, revenue-based fiscal consolidation, the strengthening the social supports to the poor and vulnerable, financial stability, debt sustainability, all these objectives. The reaching debt sustainability is a separate track. The authorities are engaged with their creditors in finding debt treatments that would help restore debt sustainability in line with the debt targets under the program. And so that is the second leg of activity that needs to be brought forward in order for us to be able to present the review to the IMF Executive Board.
IMF is providing technical assistance to Sri Lanka for the introduction of a property tax that will likely come to effect in 2025 as a key source of additional income.
As you recall, Sri Lanka is a country with one of the lowest tax takes in the world, and that was a key contributor to the crisis, especially when taxes were lowered even further in 2019. And then shocks hit, the country couldn't handle it, and so that was a key contributor to the crisis. The program is all about addressing the root causes of the crisis. Raising revenue is a key element of it. That's a property tax, and is something that is in the program, but not quite yet, because it's recognized that this is something that takes a lot of time to put into place. And it is, in fact, important for the Sri Lankan authorities to make preparations for that. And in fact, the IMF is also providing some technical assistance in that regard. So it's important to get started with it, but it will take some time for that to become effective. And it's envisaged that in 2025, property tax would be a key source of additional revenue in that year.
The IMF Deputy Mission Chief for Sri Lanka said, in order to eliminate the financial losses in the electricity sector, it is crucial to maintain cost recovery in electricity pricing. Speaking to reporters on Friday, she said the financial losses in the electricity sector eventually became a burden on the taxpayers, especially on the poor and vulnerable.
And there we would like to emphasize that sudden electricity cost recovery is crucially important to eliminate financial losses in the electricity sector, because at the end of the day, that becomes a burden on the taxpayers, including on those who are poor and vulnerable. So it's one of the key elements of the fund-supported program in Sri Lanka. At the same time, as Sarvat has highlighted, the impact of the tariff hike on the poor should be mitigated by the strong social safety net. And in addition to that, Sri Lanka should implement structural reforms to make the electricity sector more efficient and improve the governance of state-owned enterprises more generally. That should lower the cost of electricity in the medium and long term. And that's something that the authorities are working on.
The Financing Assurances Review was also discussed during the press briefing.
On Financing Assurances Review, sort of what constitutes adequate progress? Essentially, we need to see a clear path to restoring debt sustainability in Sri Lanka. The Financing Assurances Review focus on whether adequate progress has been made with the debt restructuring and whether we can have confidence that debt treatments in line with these debt targets that I described will be concluded in a timely manner. So really the objective here is to see Sri Lanka on a clear path towards restoring debt sustainability. With respect to the question on Sri Lanka, speaking in that chronological order, and the time it has taken to secure financing assurances for these countries has become less and less. So I think it was in this context that Sri Lanka was mentioned, where you remember the staff level agreement for the program was reached on September 1st, 2022, and then the program was considered by the board, by the IMF Executive Board on March 20th, 2023. That was quicker than, for example, in the case of Zambia and Chad, and then Ghana, which followed Sri Lanka, was a tad quicker than that as well. So it was basically highlighting that the discussions at the Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable have had an impact in the field when it comes to debt restructuring processes, that these are moving along a little bit more quickly.
The Public Utilities Commissioner of Sri Lanka had already approved the electricity tariff hike when this particular statement was made by the IMF in Washington. The Ceylon Electricity Board claims that the electricity tariffs had to be increased due to a special occasion that has arisen.
As of today, the charges for domestic customers with less than 60 units have been increased by 20%, and the electricity tariffs for customers with more than 60 units have been increased by 18%.
Usually only 2 price revisions are allowed per year, that is in January and July. Apart from that, a special revision can be requested in between that. On the 4th of September, the CEB notices a special requirement. We are expecting rainfall to generate 4,500 gigawatt hours of electricity. Unfortunately, only 3,750 gigawatt hours can be generated due to the prevailing weather condition. Further, from the forecast, it can be seen that we won't receive the rainfall as expected. Therefore, using that special process, we requested a price revision in October. So we are asking for a special approval to not revise electricity tariffs in January and do that in October next year. But we notice a special incident during this period. It happens during the rainy season. But it's not really like that. The rain that didn't fall in the first 3 months is now falling, but there hasn't been any rain beyond that 4,500. The special event from September 28 to October is not the rain. In the general view of the people, it is rain. But what actually happens is that the people use less electricity. It happens when it rains and a cool atmosphere is created. In that cool weather, all of us turn off the fans and ACs. We save electricity to some extent. Every kilowatt hour that is saved, every unit we buy from our most expensive units that use fuel. We get only 58 kilowatt hours of electricity from water. A kilowatt hour is 4.5 rupees, 5 rupees, 6 rupees at that level. From 58 rupees earned by each unit, 6 rupees will go to the CEB and our financial need will decrease. In light of that, we informed the Public Utilities Commission in October that we do not have a financial crisis of the portrayed magnitude but much less than that, and therefore to make the required amendments. That amendment is approved and will be effective from today as a fee amendment.
නැහැ ඊට අඩුවෙන් තියෙන්නේ ඒ නිසා ඒ සඳහා සංශෝධනයක් කරන ලෙස එම සංශෝධනය තමයි අපිට අනුමත වෙන්නේ සහ ගාස්තු සංශෝධනයක් ලෙස අද සිට ක්‍රියාත්මක වන්නේ.
According to the new price revisions, how will the electricity bill rise in the domestic category? The charges for a unit of the first 30 units in the domestic category is between 10 rupees and 12 rupees, while the fixed price of 150 rupees has moved up to 180 rupees. The charge of 25 rupees between 31 and 60 units has been increased to 30 rupees, while the fixed price has moved up to 60 rupees. The fixed price of this category is 360 rupees. The charges for units between 61 and 90 have been increased from 35 rupees to 41 rupees. The fixed price of this category has been increased from 400 rupees to 480 rupees. According to the new price revision, the charge of 50 rupees for units between 91 and 120 has been increased up to 59 rupees in the domestic category, and the fixed price has been increased by 180 rupees. The new fixed price is 1,180 rupees. The charges for units between 121 to 180 has been revised to 59 rupees from the previous charge of 50 rupees. The fixed price of this category, which was 1,500, has been further increased by 270 rupees. Due to the price revision, a house which uses 30 units has to now pay 540 rupees from the previous charge of 450 rupees. This is an increase of 90 rupees, which is 20% from the monthly electricity bill. Has the electricity bill increased for religious sites? The charges for a unit of the first 30 units in religious sites has been increased from 10 rupees to 12 rupees, while the fixed price has been increased from 150 rupees to 180 rupees. The charge for units between 31 and 90, which was 20 rupees, has been increased by 4 rupees, while the fixed price has been increased by 50 rupees. The new fixed price for this category is 300 rupees. The charge for units between 91 and 120, which was 35 rupees, has been increased to 41 rupees. The fixed price, which was 600 rupees, has been increased up to 710 rupees. The charge for units between 121 and 180, which was 45 rupees, has been increased by 8 rupees. The fixed price for this category, which was at 1,500 rupees, is now 1,770 rupees. How are the charges increased for industries and hotels? According to the new price revision, hotels and industries using 300 units and below are being charged 25 rupees from the previous charge of 18 rupees. The fixed price of 300 rupees for this category has been increased to 340. The charge per unit for units above 300 has been increased from 25 rupees to 28 rupees. The fixed price for this category is 1,120. According to the new price revision, the charge of 45 rupees for a unit has been increased to 56 rupees for street lights.
According to Section 30 of the Sri Lanka Electricity Act and Section 17 of the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka Act, public consultation should be carried out prior to any electricity price hikes. Since this public consultation is a legal process, the relevant procedures have been gazetted. According to the regulations set out in the Gazette, the public consultation should be done based on a legally and technically acceptable framework regarding the proposed price hikes. The Ceylon Electricity Board wrote to the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka on the 4th of September regarding the current financial situation of the Ceylon Electricity Board and the possible loss of over 54 billion rupees at the end of the year. In the same letter, the Ceylon Electricity Board requested permission for the electricity price hikes to minimize these losses. Meanwhile, on the 26th of September, a proposal to increase the electricity price by 22% was made to the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka in order to minimize a possible loss of 30 billion rupees at the end of the year. But the Ceylon Electricity Board does not provide sufficient and acceptable answers to these questions raised by the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka regarding the data of the letters. In such a backdrop, what the Commission should have done was disregard the request made by the Ceylon Electricity Board. But the Commission became a joke to the public when they acted outside of the people's confidence by calling for public opinions on the ambiguous letter. In light of this, the Ceylon Electricity Board wrote to the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka on the 16th of October requesting permission for a 10% price hike on electricity prices for the next 2 years. The Ceylon Electricity Board also notified the Commission that a bank loan of 156 billion rupees is yet to be paid off by the Ceylon Electricity Board. When the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka misled the people and carried out public inquiries with insufficient data, the Ceylon Electricity Board had notified the Commission that the possible loss incurred within this year would be 18 billion rupees. Meanwhile, an additional general manager of the Ceylon Electricity Board who participated in the public inquiry forum requested permission to increase the electricity price not by 20% but 18%. The contradictory price hike requests made by the Ceylon Electricity Board within the 43 days between 4th of September and 17th of October were approved by the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka without following due process. This was a direct breach of the constitutional duty and public confidence bestowed upon the Commission. According to the policy decision of the government, amendments to the electricity prices can only be made twice a year. Within this year, the Ceylon Electricity Board has exhausted this quota. By going beyond the set quota, the Ceylon Electricity Board can only revise the electricity price in an event in which the annual estimated cost may exceed by 25%. According to the first estimate of the Ceylon Electricity Board, the cost for this year is 650 billion rupees. A 25% increase in the initial estimated cost would amount to 812.5 billion rupees, which shows an increase of 162.5 billion rupees. If such clear and certain data with regard to the electricity price hikes have been submitted to the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka by the Ceylon Electricity Board, it is the duty of the Commission to reveal the data to the general public.
The former chairman of the PUCSL, Janaka Ratnayaka, says that increasing electricity tariffs is unjust and is against the law. This price hike is against the law. The decision of the PUCSL Act and the cabinet is to increase the electricity tariffs only twice a year. The bankrupt government and the mismanaged CEB should be held responsible for this. Before August in 2022, the revenue of the CEB was at 225 billion rupees. After this tariff hike, the new revenue of the CEB would rise up to 700 billion rupees. The increased 478 billion rupees have to be paid by the public. We all know that they are using the IMF deal as an excuse for all these price hikes. If we look at that, only 2.7 billion US dollars will be given as credit by the IMF throughout 4 years. Thus, only 675 billion US dollars will be received every year. By increasing these electricity tariffs, the CEB will get 2.1 billion US dollars from the public. That means twice of this credit installment is paid by the people just for electricity. This is unfair. This is illegal. This is unjust. Opposition leader made the following remarks. We are arguing that there is no need to increase electricity tariffs. That is because the CEB is enjoying profits at the current rates. Not only that, they have also violated the laws as the electricity tariffs could only be revised twice a year. They are using the special paragraph allowing increasing the electricity price 4 times. On the other hand, the PUCSL is illegally violating their act. If you look at the timetable today, the Minister of Power and Energy has not submitted his answers. The decision is already made to increase electricity tariffs. I would like to mention that the privileges of the ministers, including myself, have been violated. Don't do this. I am asking you to order the PUCSL not to increase electricity tariffs in this wrongful manner. This is the solution given by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. The electricity bill has also been increased. Either lights need to be switched off or electricity should be used sparingly because the amount will differ depending on the units used. If you use too much, it will run out. Therefore, I think using electricity sparingly would be the best way forward.
Following the announcement to increase electricity prices, several protests are taking place across the island. Namely, protests are taking place in Ambilipitia, Varyapola and Koskoda. And what the people are demanding is for the government to take necessary measures to reduce these prices.
A heated situation arose during the parliament sessions today during a debate between State Minister Diana Gamage and Samaki Janabalavege parliamentarian Sujit Sanjay Pereira and Roshan Bandara. The debate turned into a dispute revolved around an incident that took place in the parliamentary premises.
Videos of the dispute is currently circulating on social media.
නෑ හරි ඔයා කියන්නේ හරි හරි ඔව් මොනවද කියන්නේ මොකද්ද කිව්වේ මොකද්ද කවුද කිව්වේ වගේ හැසිරෙන්න එපා කියලා කිව්වේ ඔයාට කවුද කිව්වේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව කතා කරලා අපි ඒක තමයි ඔයා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කතා කරන්නේ ඒකට හරිද මට කාන්තාවන්ට නිකම් කාන්තාවට කවුද හදන්නේ ගලවනවා පුළුවන් කොටමුසේ ගලවන්නකෝ කලිසම අනේ ගලවන්න පුළුවන් හරි කලිසම ගලවනවා හරි ගලවන්නකෝ කියන දේ හාපන් ගලවනවා හරි කලිසම නෑ මේ මිනිස්සෙක් හැදෙන්නේ මොකද මොනවාද මොකද්ද කියන්නේ අය මොකද්ද හා ස්මාර්ට්ෆෝන් එකක් පාවිච්චි හරි ස්මාර්ට්ෆෝන් නෙමෙයි ඕන ෆෝන් එකක් මට පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන් හරි දාගන්න තමයි හරි මම දාගන්නවා මේ හරිද මේ කාන්තාව කාන්තාවන්ට අපි කාන්තාවන්ගේ ඉපදිච්ච කෙනෙක් තමයි කවුද කවුද කවුරුනත් කතා කරන්න ඉගෙන ගන්න ඕයි. කතා කරන්න ඉගෙන ගන්නවා. කොලින් දාලා මොකක් හරි අපි ජොබ් එකක් තමයි කරන්නේ. මොන ගහපන් බලන්න. ඔබ ගෑණියෙක් කියලා බලන්න හරිද? ගහන්න. මේ ගහපන් හරි මේ ගහන්නකො හරි ගහන්න මෙයා මේ රාමුසෑබ් ගිහිල්ලා බජාර් කරනවා හරිද ගහගන්න හරි ගහලා පෙන්න හරි එකක් ගහලා පෙන්න හරි එකක් ගහලා පෙන්න ගහන
State Minister Diana Gamagi raised this issue in Parliament.
කරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා සමාවෙන්න මට විනාඩියක් ඕනේ. මම දැන් මේ පල්ලෙහා ලයිබ්‍රරි එකේ පල්ලෙහාදී මේ
When I was near the library, near the members' elevator, I was attacked by SJB MP Sujit Pereira. If female parliamentarians, state ministers are getting attacked in Parliament, what about the women outside Parliament? I want to know the answers from the SJB MPs. Honourable Speaker, there needs to be an investigation into this. I will not allow such incidents to take place again in Parliament.
වාරේම පරීක්ෂණයක් පවත්වන්න ඕන ගරු කතානායකතුමා මේවා කරන්න මම ඉඩ දෙන්නේ නැහැ මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව තුල නැවත.
මා ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විනාඩි 10කට අත්හිටවලා ගරු කතානායකතුමාට කාමරේ හැමයි කරුණු කියන්න අවස්ථාව දෙන්න කියලා. මේ කවදාවත් නොසිදුණු බරපතල තත්ත්වය. I just request you to suspend sittings for 10 minutes.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විනාඩි 10කට කල් තබනවා.
The sessions recommenced after 10 minutes.
මම නැති වෙලා තමයි මෙතුමිය ප්‍රකාශයක් කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
She said that I attacked her. She made this statement while I was absent in the chamber. That did not happen. I urged her not to use those words and leave, but she did not listen. She then tried to attack me. I only prevented her from doing that.
මම පහර දීම වලක්වීම විතරයි කරන්න කටයුතු කෙරුවේ.
පිටිපස්සෙන් ෆලෝ කරගෙන මයි ගාව සම්පූර්ණ වීඩියෝ එක තියෙනවා. කතා කරන විදියයි මයි කලිසම ගලවනවායි මට තව මේ කියන්න බැරි වචන ගණනාවක් කිය අපිට කතා මේ කාන්තා හිංසනය ගැන කතා කරනකොට මේ කාන්තාවන්ගෙන් පුරුෂ අයිතීන් ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න ක්‍රමවේදයක් කතා කරන්න. අතපය කඩන්න එළියෙන් බලාගමු කියලා කියන්නේ මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ඇතුලේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් පාර්ලිමේන්තු සභාගර්භය විතරක් නෙමෙයි එළියටත් අරගෙන ගිහිල්ලා මේක අපේ කරුමෙට කොහෙවත් යන ගලි බවුරුසරයක් අපේ යංගේ පෙරුණා. ඒකයි ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ. බොහොම ස්තුතියි. හරි. මට
කියන්න තියෙන්නේ මේ සජබේ ඉන්න මානසික ලෙඩ්ඩු ටිකකට හරිද? මේ මානසික ලෙඩ්ඩු ටික ඇත්තටම කනට තමයි ගහන්න ඕනේ. මට ඒක ගහන්න බැරි වුණා. හරිද? ගලි බවුසර් තමුන්ගේ මම තමුන්ගේ බිරිඳ තමුන්ගේ දරුවා තමයි ගලි බවුසරේ.
හරි බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
අද මේක තනිකර පිටකොටුව තත්ත්වයට පත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඔබතුමාලා ඒ වෙනුවෙන් මැදිහත් වීමක් වෙන්න. මේ ඕන දේවල් වාචාල ටික මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කියන්න දෙන්න එපා.
කියා මා වෙත දෙපාර්ශ්වයෙන් ඉදිරිපත් වූ පැමිණිලි පිළිබඳව විමර්ශනය කොට වාර්තාවක් මා වෙත කඩිනමින් ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම.
I will appoint a committee led by the Deputy Speaker to investigate this incident. The MPs in this committee are Ajit Rajapaksha, Chamal Rajapaksha, Ramesh Patirana, Gayantha Karunatilaka and Imtiaz Bakir Makar. The committee will investigate this and prepare a report.
Garu Ramesh Patirana මෙතුමා, Garu Gayantha Karunatilaka මෙතුමා, Imtiaz Bakir Makar මෙතුමා. මෙයාගේ සමන්විත කමිටුව මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් විභාග කරලා අපිට වාර්තාවක් දෙයි.
News first with the people.
What did the human immunoglobulin, which was purchased under very curious circumstances, really have? The Minister of Health stated that this is a solution like saline, but the chairman of the Drug Regulatory Authority, Professor S.T. Jayaratne, states that the solution is yet to be identified.
තරම අපි දන්නේ නැහැ නේද මේ රෝගීට දීලා තියෙන මොනවාද මේ සංයුතිය මේක තිබ්බ කියලා. එතකොට මේ
ඒක මේ වෙනකොට ලැබ් එකේ ටෙස්ට් කරනවා. බොහෝ දුරට ඒ කට්ටිය කියන්නේ මේකේ මේ ඇඩ්වර්ස් කෙමිකල් එකක් නෑ. Fortunately දැනට තියෙන විදිහට අපි ඉන්ටර්වින් එකේ අර මේ සේලයින් වගේ නිකන් දාලා තමයි දීලා.
The chairman of the National Drug Regulatory Authority, S.T. Jayaratne, stated that no report has been received on the solution in human immunoglobulin yet. He further stated that these samples are being referred in 2 test labs in the country. The Crime Investigation Division took statements from the officials of the National Drug Regulatory Authority today. The officials who arrived at the National Drug Regulatory Authority at about 10 a.m. today was present for about 7 hours at the premises. A special discussion took place between health union representatives and opposition MPs at the Parliament today. The Minister of Health says that a solution like saline has been given instead of immunoglobulin. If we purchase a bottle of saline, it can be purchased for a price less than 500 rupees. Then for about rupees 40,000, we have purchased saline for about rupees 50 for the people of this country. There is no official who is taking responsibility for this. How can a person who has been given saline have complications? Are the letters that have been received about complications fake too then? Are these complaints about complications a lie then? Or is it a claim of saline the best choice among the worst outcomes that could happen? This is a doubt that arises due to this.
The opposition leader rejected the allegation made by the ruling party in Parliament yesterday that the opposition also proposed to cancel the nominations of the local government election.
මම ඊයේ දවසේ ගරු අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමාගෙත් එතුමාගේ රාජ්‍ය අමාත්‍යතුමාගෙත් කරුණු
Yesterday, after facts were presented to the House, I got a hold of the meeting minutes of the advisory committee. In the work notes of the advisory committee, there was nothing mentioned regarding anyone from the SJB or the Samagi Jana Alliance in favour of cancelling the election. At the time, he said one thing. He said that MP Alavatuwala was there. I am tabulating all these notes and not only passing Hansard, but I am sending this to all the media in this country. They are trying to fool everyone. They think that there is a group of idiots in this country. My name is also written at the bottom of it. Yesterday, the State Minister came and lied by waving a few pieces of paper in a completely false and humiliating manner. I say to the Honourable Prime Minister to at least inform the State Minister when lying like this. Don't lie like this.
අඩුම ගානේ රාජ්‍ය ඇමතිවරයාව දැනුවත් කරන්න මේ වගේ බොරු කියන්න තියෙන්න මේ පළාත් පාලන
The public servants who had given nominations for the local government elections are facing many issues. Now we have discussed to provide a solution regarding those issues. Apart from that, we have never discussed postponing the elections at any time.
ඡන්ද කාල දැමීම සම්බන්ධව ඒක තනුකෙතුමා වක් කුඹුරනේ වක් පිහිය මං අපි හිතුවේ මිත්‍රයෙක් කියලා. මේ රජය
We thought he was a friend. This government called for nominations and destroyed a lot of money of the people of the country, and now when they are trying to avoid the elections, they are trying to blame it on us. I will talk to the State Minister about the matters mentioned by the ministers who are speaking today, and I will show them these facts clearly again.
A Harta campaign got underway today in areas in the northern and southern provinces. Factions that engaged in the Harta campaign has several demands, including justice for the threats levelled against Mullaitivu Magistrate T. Saravana Raja.
Several political parties supported the Hartal campaign. Shops in the Jaffna district was closed today in support of the Hartal campaign. Fishing community in the Mana district also supported the program. The Hartal campaign also took place in the Vaunia district. Many shops in the Trincomalee district were also closed. According to our correspondent, daily activities of the city were carried out as usual. This was the situation in Ampara and Batiklo.
A woman died after a bus veered off the road in Kandakatia, Migahakula in Badulla. The police says that 27 people were injured in the accident. The deceased was identified as a 70-year-old woman.
The SLTB bus travelling from Migahakula to Katavatta met with this accident this afternoon.
Women's rights groups and activists across Sri Lanka today demanded the withdrawal of a range of repressive laws and bills, especially focusing on the draconian online safety bill and the anti-terrorism bill, which they would result in the end of democracy and fundamental rights.
Issuing a statement, the groups and activists said, quote, "Both bills have sweeping provisions to seriously curtail and even violate the freedoms of expression, free speech, right to information, assembly and association. Both present fatal threats to democracy and fundamental rights in this country, unquote. The statement also said, quote, the government's intention in passing laws that violate the basic values of democratic governance in our constitution shows that they want to change course and establish a political dictatorship, unquote. The rights groups call upon the government to withdraw all these bills and engage in a public conversation with qualified persons and citizens on public policy in these important areas. They also call upon all members of parliament to fulfill the above stated constitutional mandate and vote against these repressive laws.
Shakti TV has been a shining beacon of information, knowledge and entertainment for the Tamil-speaking audiences around the country, and today is celebrating its 25th anniversary.
Shakti TV, Desatin Shakti.
Today, Shakti TV celebrated its 25th anniversary with a grand event at the Deparnama Studios. Chairman of the Capital Maharaja Group, Sashi Rajamahendran, Chief Executive Officer of the Capital Maharaja Group, Sunil Kanojia, Group Director of Capital Maharaja Group, Shivan Daniel, and several other invitees participated in the event.
மற்றும் குழும பணிப்பாளர் ஷிவான் டேனியல் அவர் அதேவேளையில் ஸ்டைல் நிறுவனத்தினுடைய தலைமை நிறைவேற்று அதிகாரி சந்தன சூரிய பண்டார அவர்களையும் முகாமையாளர் திரு புத்தி விக்ரமநாயக் அவர்களையும் திரு ராபின் ஜில்லா அவர்களையும் திரு குலேந்திரன் அவர்களையும்
A special program was also telecast to mark the occasion, featuring a dazzling array of performances by Sri Lanka's most talented artists.
25 years, to me, when I look at it, I'm thinking that's halfway to 50. You know, these are all numbers. We'll talk about some other numbers. There are 44 registered TV stations in Sri Lanka. Of that, Tamil, three registered. Then Tamil speakers in Sri Lanka, we have 3 million. These are all numbers. And the point I'm getting to is, let's look forward to the next 25 years. In the world, there's 100 million Tamil speakers. Those are registered numbers. Likely the number of unregistered births could be closer to 150, maybe even 200 million Tamil speakers. In the world, there's less than 150 Tamil TV channels. Those are the numbers we should be going for, because you're sharing the same language and same culture. One of the oldest cultures in the world, and as far as I know, possibly the oldest language in the world. Those are the numbers we should be going for, much bigger than the numbers we have here. And Kulendran, I think you should start on that immediately.
Happy birthday to you.
Mr. Rajamahendran's dream and all of his hard work was nurtured by many people who fought very hard at a time it was not at all easy to establish a Tamil language channel in Sri Lanka. I remember people like Shanti Bahiradan, Chamantraj, there were people like Elil Vendran and Mayuran, who is here, Abarna Sudan, not forgetting Gajamohan, who has been here for decades. And I know I've named names, but there are hundreds and thousands who have believed in this dream and worked for this dream and brought Shakti to where it is today, a 25-year-old responsible adult. Of course, I'll be failing in my duty if I didn't recognize the hard work and leadership of Ms. Neera Veerasinghe, who led Shakti for so many years and brought it to where it is today. Today, we have a young team led by Kulendran, who have dreams for the next 25 years.
The 25th anniversary celebration of Shakti TV was a truly memorable event, one that showcased the channel's commitment to excellence and its unwavering dedication to its viewers.
දේශத்திන් ශක්තිය.
The Wildlife and Nature Protection Society's monthly lecture commenced yesterday in Colombo.
The Wildlife and Nature Protection Society's monthly lecture commenced under the theme Wildlife and Wilderness in the North. The lecture was conducted by S. Vijay Mohan, Senior Lecturer in the Department of Bioscience from University of Vavuniya. Dr. S. Vijay Mohan is a renowned conservationist who has long championed the cause of conservation in the North and the East.
Day 38 of the second leg of the LOLC Divisavia program got underway, centering 15 schools in the Monaragala district. The second leg of the LOLC Divisavia program will provide school books and stationery items to schools with less than 100 students. Students from schools including the Bibila Siri Dharmapala Mahavidyalaya, Serava Primary Vidyalaya, Iluk Kaputanna Junior School, Kotuwe Gankota Primary School, Aluthwela Primary School, Rathanadeniya Junior School were gifted school books and stationery items this morning. School books and stationery items were also gifted to students at the Vallavaya Zonal Education Office. Later this evening, school books and stationery items were handed over to the students of the Kanvegal Junior School and Thittavelkula Primary School. This worthy initiative is a collaboration between the LOLC Group and the Ministry of Education.
The conflict between Israel and Palestine continues. The Israeli bombardment in the 24 hours leading up to last evening has killed 307 in Gaza. The death toll has topped 3,700.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has arrived at Egypt's Rafah crossing ahead of anticipated aid delivery to Gaza. Antonio Guterres spoke to reporters in Egypt where he called for trucks carrying aid to be allowed into Gaza. He said he has seen, quote, so many trucks loaded with water, with fuel, with medicines, food, unquote, adding that these trucks would be a lifeline and the difference between life and death for so many people in Gaza. Further, the United Nations said the first aid delivery into Gaza via the Rafah crossing should take place in the next day or so. Dozens of trucks are backed up at the crossing on the Egyptian border carrying food, water and medicine but no fuel. It's believed that only 20 will initially be allowed to cross. A plane carrying the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has also landed near the border and he is expected to speak shortly to appeal for the dozens of trucks carrying aid to be allowed into Gaza. US President
The official ICC Men's Cricket World Cup India 2023.
The ICC Cricket World Cup 2023 encounter between Australia and Pakistan is taking place at the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bangalore. Batting second, Pakistan is chasing a target of 368. Now, cricket fans can watch and listen to all the action of the World Cup via MTV NBC Networks, the official local broadcast rights holder of the tournament. These matches are also being streamed live on www.citizenstv.lk. And with that, we wrap up Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. For all these stories and much more, you can visit our website, that is www.newsfirst.lk. Good night.